Some breaking news into our newsroom. FBI officials have arrested D.C. Ward 8 Councilmember Trayon White. That's according to the Washington Post.
Councilmember Trayon White has been arrested. Now, White represents Ward 8 in Southeast D.C., and he's known for being outspoken about violence around the district and in his community, even calling for the National Guard to step in at one point.
You know, the FBI is after me, but I believe that, not just arrest me, but I believe they want to kill me.
Can you elaborate on the concerns you expressed about the FBI?
Nope.
A political comeback in D.C. just months after being expelled from his seat on city council. Trayon White is leading the polls after last night's election, likely heading back to the council and returning to his seat representing Ward 8.
Today on California Reports, prosecutors say they caught a sitting city councilman on hidden camera taking envelopes of cash 4 times in 10 weeks. He was arrested, he was indicted. His own colleagues expelled him, the first time that's ever happened in the 51-year history of the D.C. Council. And then the voters brought him back. Twice.
Well, Trayon White officially took back his seat on the district council. Today, he was sworn in again as Ward 8 D.C. council member. This comes months after he was indicted on a federal bribery charge, and his fellow legislators voted to expel him from the council.
Throughout this journey for me, it's been a lot of trials and tribulations, not just with running for re-election twice within a year's time, but just life in general. It's been a tough season, to say the least.
This is the story of Trayon White. White spent almost a decade representing Ward 8, one of the poorest parts of Washington, D.C. He was a protege of Marion, a mayor who survived his own corruption scandal and came back too.
Marion makes some new racially charged comments surrounding his annual Thanksgiving turkey giveaway.
This time, the controversy involves questions over who funds Barry's and other turkey drives organized by politicians. Stephen Cheetah has more now on what Barry said about, in his words, white liberals.
Marion gives away thousands of dollars worth of turkeys every Thanksgiving. When the city paper asked Barry where the money comes from, he refused to answer.
By 2024, White chaired oversight tied to violence prevention spending, multi-million-dollar contracts, city agencies, real leverage. That's the job prosecutors say someone wanted to buy. That's where Allieu Kamara comes in.
Trayon White is officially their council member once again.
Which?
I'm about to enter.
I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
He was sworn in yesterday afternoon. White was expelled and lost his seat back in February because of a federal investigation. He's accused of taking bribes, something that he denies.
Kamara ran a nonprofit called Life Deeds, which held city violence interruption contracts. He had his own legal trouble, bank fraud allegations, and he made a deal. Cooperate with the FBI, wear a wire, and walk away with a lighter case. Prosecutors say what he recorded became the spine of the case against White. So what did the wire pick up?
The back and forth over violence interrupted programs here in the district continues tonight. D.C. Police Union called on the council to stop giving money to those programs.
They say it's because council member Trayon White was indicted on a federal bribery charge related to the programs, but a lead violence interrupter telling us the work they do is really critical here.
It's a critical problem with uncertain solutions, how to stop violent crime in D.C. And although it's down this year, there's still more work to be done.
On June 26, 2024, prosecutors say Kamara handed White $15,000 cash. On July 17th, $5,000 more. On July 25th, $10,000. On August 9th, a final 4 envelopes, $35,000, all of it. Prosecutors say on hidden camera.
Nearly 40-page criminal documents have photos like this one, which show Councilmember Trayon White allegedly accepting envelopes with cash inside, anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. Now, the FBI says they have White accepting these bribes on video.
But $35,000 was never the real number. Prosecutors say White agreed to $156,000 in exchange for pressuring 2 city agencies into extending Life Deeds contracts worth more than $5 million. The envelopes were the down payment. The $5 million was the target.
Prosecutors allege White agreed to accept $156,000 in cash payments to pressure D.C. government employees to extend contracts for 2 companies to provide violence intervention services in the district. Rafa, walk us through the details of the investigation.
At the Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement and the Department of Youth and Rehabilitation Services to extend several D.C. contracts. Those contracts were valued at $5.2 million and were intended to provide violence intervention services here in the district.
On August 18, 2024, The FBI arrested White outside a residence in Northeast D.C. He was charged with bribery. He pleaded not guilty. Here's where this should have ended. Politically, it didn't.
Trayon White has been arrested by the FBI. That arrest came just hours ago. The council's office confirmed that the Ward 8 council member seen here back in February was arrested earlier this afternoon. The FBI's Washington field office has not specified why Councilmember White was arrested or what charges he may face.
Less than 3 months later, Ward 8 went to the polls for the regular election and re-elected Trayon White in a landslide. White called it a message. The decisions, he said, belong in the hands of the people, not the council. In January 2025, he was sworn in for a third term, indictment and all. That message that the people decide, not the institutions, is one his team would lean on again, all the way into this year's run-up to trial. The council disagreed. An outside law firm's investigation found substantial evidence he'd broken the district's code of conduct. In December, an ad hoc committee recommended expulsion. On February 4th, 2025, all 12 members voted yes. Trayon White became the first person in council history to be expelled.
White sat in the audience with his attorney, Fred Cook. Only 3 of the 12 council members made remarks prior to the vote.
Are we to do nothing? Legislatures everywhere, including Congress, have to be able to discipline their members when there are egregious acts.
While this process is personally difficult for me, it is my duty as a council member, and frankly, today's action is fairly straightforward. It's not a tough question.
Trust is precious, the council chairman said before the vote. Trust is critical for an elected government, and we must act. Outside the building that day, a truck circled with an electronic sign. It read, "FBI set me up."
On Monday, Council Chair Phil Mendelson addressed a pending lawsuit to try to stop today's vote.
It comes down to whether a legislature has the ability to expel a member for egregious conduct. And we've seen over and over in Congress and state legislatures where that happens.
The seat was empty. Under D.C. law, nothing stopped White from running for it again. Only a felony conviction can bar a council member, and he hadn't been convicted of anything. A special election was set for July.
After the vote, former council member White declined to answer reporters' questions as he went to his office for perhaps the final time. Now, the D.C. Board of Elections will declare the Ward 8 seat vacant and schedule a special election to be held between 70 and 174 days. Trayon White could put his name in the race and run for that open seat.
4 Democrats got on the ballot, including White. The field split the anti-White vote 4 ways. When the count finished, White had just under 30%, enough to win outright, ahead of his nearest opponent by roughly 350 votes. On August 8, 2025, the Board of Elections certified the result, and hours later, Trayon White was sworn back into the same seat his colleagues had voted unanimously to take away. Twice removed by the system, twice returned by the ward.
DC News Now's Daniel Hamburg joining us live. And Daniel, you were over at White's watch party. You spoke with him earlier. I mean, so many hurdles despite being re-elected before and then being expelled again. I mean, talk about his reaction to now being the projected winner.
Susan and Mark, he is happy. His supporters are ecstatic that they have re-elected Trayon White back to the council. One local activist telling me tonight that their voices cannot be silenced. That is how they feel about this.
The council now faced a decision it never had to make before. Expel a member a second time or let a man under federal indictment sit back down at the table. They chose to let him sit.
And will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of member of the council of the District of Columbia which I'm about to enter. Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
The criminal case never went away. It's been delayed 3 times, now set for September. And this month, 2 things happened. First, White agreed he won't contest that he took the cash, 4 payments, $35,000, exactly as prosecutors describe. What he still disputes is why. His defense says there's no proof he ever actually pressured anyone in return.
Councilmember Trayon White wants his federal bribery trial delayed again. The Ward 8 council member had a hearing this afternoon asking to push his March trial back to June. So White, as you know, is accused of taking thousands of dollars in cash bribes, all in exchange for steering city contracts. He denies the allegations and says he was set up. Now, U.S. Attorney for D.C. Jeanine Pirro calls the delay request baseless. The trial is still set from March 24.
Second, a federal judge had to step in after prosecutors said White's chief of staff texted one of their witnesses, the city official who oversaw those contracts, days before trial. The message read, "Keeping you prayed up." The judge ordered White's attorney to make sure he understood he can't do that again.
A matter of minutes, D.C. Councilman Trayon White went from giving a speech on a school stage to being center stage in a courtroom. He was back in court today for his federal bribery charge. White is accused of taking money and promising government contracts. Our Washington, D.C. reporter Felicia Ashley is joining us live from the federal courthouse. Felicia, White's team took another swing at getting his case dismissed.
Strip away the envelopes, the $5.2 million, and the 2 elections. And what's left is a question bigger than one councilman. The FBI can build a case. Prosecutors can charge him. A legislature can vote him out of the room. But if the voters keep sending him back in, what is that expulsion vote actually worth? Ward 8 has answered that twice. A jury answers something else next month. This video can't answer either one for you.
D.C. Councilmember Trayon White was arrested by the FBI. White represents Ward 8 in Southeast D.C. Fox 5's David Kaplan is live outside the Wilson Building in Northwest. And David, what have you been able to uncover so far?
Trayon, any statement you want to make?
Yes, Sierra, we've confirmed this through Council President Phil Mendelson. He confirmed to Fox 5 that Trayon White, who represents Ward 8 for the D.C. Council, was arrested by the FBI around 2 o'clock this afternoon.
If you want to hear more cases like this, subscribe and comment what you want to hear next.